Hello, class. Welcome to another episode of our guest speaker series. Today, we have a special treat for you all. We have a special guest from our instrumentation program. Mr. Creasy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Mike Creasy. I'm one of the instructors in the Industrial Instrumentation program at Del Mar.
Thank you for coming on to talk to our students today. This week's assignment, we are focusing on interview skills. I'm asking our students to review some of the most popular questions employers ask students on an interview. And we are also really wanting students to focus in on specifics on their specific trade. So whether they're going into instrumentation, welding, process, whichever it is, I want them to specifically look at those questions based upon whatever program they're in. So can you kind of give students a little bit more advice on what are some things they should be sure to emphasize on in their interview and things that they should definitely talk about to really help them secure that job?
Well, a lot of it just depends on which company. There's different companies out there that we do work for. Some of the companies hire just instrumentation techs. Some of the companies hire both what they call I&E, instrumentation and electrical. So you have to look, first of all, anytime you're going to interview, you want to research as much as you can about the company. You want to understand what their particular needs, their particular requirements, what they do. Okay, so if you're going to do an interview over at the HEB Bakery, which we have a lot of instrument techs work there, the questions and the things they ask you might be a little bit different than if you're going to go to work at the Tesla plant over in Robstown. Okay, so it's kind of, you need to research the company, know as much as you can about it before you do the interview, so you'd be prepared and have some kind of idea about what they ask. Okay, and then in our classes we discuss a lot about the different requirements of instrument tech, but we also kind of cover some of the questions that the other companies I know have asked in the past for instrument tech. For example, some of the companies like ArcelorMittal, they're going to, or a lot of their questions will be orientated towards not just instrumentation, because there's the I&E. They're going to have a lot of questions towards the electrical also. Okay, so we'll go back, and one of the problems we have is by the time they get to the interview, the electrical classes are the very first part of our program. By the time they get to that point, it's 2 years down the road, and so they don't really understand it. So what I tell the students is go back through online where all of our courses are listed on the Del Mar website. Look at each class that you took, kind of get a synopsis of what that class was about. Be prepared to answer any kind of questions. For example, you go to Tesla. The first thing they want you to do is they want you to do a hands-on demonstration about how to calibrate a meter. So we do that in calibration class. We do it in several different classes. So be prepared for that type of stuff. Be prepared not only for hands-on, but be prepared to answer any possible questions they might have. So a lot of it just reviewing some of the courses, the outline of the courses, what's in it, and kind of think about some of the stuff we've done. One of the simple questions they've asked a lot is describe what a solenoid is. A solenoid is a device that takes electrical energy and converts it to mechanical energy. Just simple questions like that. Basically, look at what they're doing in that particular field. Think about some of the stuff that they might ask you based on what their job requirements are. And just be prepared. Know the more you know about the company, the more you can anticipate the type of questions they might ask. You know?
I think that's such great advice for the students to research the company. For instance, one of our job assignments that I had this semester was for students to go onto the Kiewit website and to look up jobs there, but to also include that portion of their information when they did their cover letter or when they're doing their resume, to make sure that they're adding in those specifics. So for students to go in and actually research the company that they're interviewing for and they're sending in their applications for, I think is such great, crucial advice. Are there any other things, are there any other tips that you have for students as we're going into this interview, assignments, maybe some other job sites that you might encourage students to visit to look up some of these potential jobs and interviews?
Well, besides each company, their own website, a lot of times the company like Chenier and different companies, they'll have their particular openings on their websites. The number one company that I've used to look for things is Indeed. And you can sign up for a free account on Indeed. You can go in and have them send you daily emails of any type of instrumentation or any kind of job you might be interested in. They'll send you emails of openings. I get probably 2 to 3 emails a day from Indeed showing different type of instrumentation jobs open. And instrumentation is a wide field. So they might be in the medical field, might be in one of the refineries, it might be an HEB bakery place like that. So it's a huge field. But the other thing when you're answering the questions, make sure that you understand the question, okay? And make sure that you thoroughly answer all of them. I know one of the mistakes that I made for years, of course, my students know that I had retired from the Army Depot back in 2019. And going through the interview process out there, they would usually ask 5 to 7 questions. And the last question a lot of times was do you have anything else to add? Well, at that time, it would be a good time to just kind of summarize everything you've already said. Because sometimes when you're interviewing, they might not catch everything. So when you answer each question individually, and then at the end, just kind of summarize everything that they've kind of covered, just to put everything back fresh in their minds so they make the notes and stuff on it. But just make sure that you understand the question. Most of the time, it doesn't hurt if you don't understand the question, answer it, and then ask them to repeat the question so that you can see if you covered everything in it, and then go back and add to it if you need to. Yeah.
I think that's such great advice as well. Do you think that students who are completing this assignment, do you think that how important do you think it is for them to continually practice their interviewing skills?
Oh, definitely. So I used to, at the base, I used to give actual classes, let my employees practice interviews with other time. I give them time off to do that. I have gone to interview for a lot of jobs that I did not want. And the only reason is to get the experience of interviews, okay? If you go to an interview for a job that you really, really want, you're automatically will be nervous. And so if you go to a job that you don't want, you're not going to be nervous, because if you don't get it, you don't care, because you don't want it anyway. So it's a good practice just to apply for jobs that you don't want, just to go out there and go through the interview process to learn about the company, because maybe later that company might have a job open that you do want. So you can go through the process, and you can also get practice. Here through the workforce development, they offer free classes and free interview techniques that they help you with. You give them opportunity to do the mock interviews and things. So the more practice you get, even sitting down with other students and friends and relatives and doing mock interviews with them, it just gets you more relaxed so that you're not nervous. The biggest thing that I see students mess up on are employees, because at the base, I was a supervisor for 14 years, so I was a hiring official. One of the biggest things I saw that people messed up on their interviews is, first of all, they're nervous. They don't really listen to the question. Make sure you understand the question that they're asking before you answer it. And also take your time to think about it, to give a good, complete answer. Don't just take a short answer. Like we had one particular employee that was really exceptional employee. The first couple of questions, he went all out and gave really good answers. Then towards the end, it's like just 1 or 2 questions, 1 or 2 words for answers. And so you want to make sure that you understand it, and you could give complete, thorough answers all the way through to every question. Even if sometimes you might have to repeat yourself, it's still a good way, because a lot of times they're going to give you different grades or different scores on each question separately. So if you answer everything good at the beginning, you might have a high score there, but at the end, you're going to have a low score because you didn't want to repeat yourself at the end. But it's good to do that. Make sure the more times you give them your information, the better.
Well, I think that we have provided the students with tons of great information. So I really appreciate you taking the time and speaking with our students today. I really hope that our students paid attention to some of these great tips that you provided them. I might even give them some extra credits for answering some questions to make sure that they watch this video all the way through. So I really thank you for your time, Mr. Creasy. Any last thoughts for our students taking COMG?
No, just keep studying and keep up the good work. So.
Well, thank you again so much for your time. I really appreciate you.
All right, thank you.